The biz.
What's up, everybody? Good morning. It's What's the Biz, and we are back with another Monday morning Empower Huddle, actually. I hope you guys had a great weekend. We are here. We are live. I hope you guys are excited for our information that we have going on today. And this morning, y'all, we are going to talk about unleashing the power of teamwork. All right? Yeah. Yes, teamwork. And this is where we're going to explore the remarkable impact of collaboration, synergy, and effective teamwork. I'm your host, Danica Dorsey, and we have
Darnell Rivera.
And we also have
Jay Graham.
Woo woo. And if y'all don't know who Jay Graham is, he is the founder and CEO of Nuclear Vision Media here in Tulare, California. And also he is the founder of What's the Biz 559, y'all. So you are in for a real good treat this morning.
Yeah.
Also, today's episode, we will delve into the profound importance of teamwork in our personal and professional lives. So strap up, because we're going to uncover the benefits and share success stories, and provide valuable insight to help you build and nurture high-performing teams.
Yes.
So let's get started, y'all.
Yeah.
How are you guys doing this morning?
Good.
Great.
Good.
Good.
Excited to be here.
Yeah.
For
You
sure,
guys
for
have a
sure.
good, productive weekend?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I had a fun weekend.
Did you?
Yeah.
What'd you do?
Yeah,
Please
I had
share.
a fun weekend. Went to LA, got to check out some of the artists that I really enjoy, and that was really fun. I'm normally working on the weekends.
Right.
So
It's
it was
important
good
to
either
take that downtime.
Yeah.
You need it, because
Yeah.
you're your own
Yeah.
slave.
Yeah. Yeah.
When they talk about hard work, y'all, this
Exactly.
man
Yeah.
is hard work himself.
Building
So,
business. Yeah.
building
Yeah.
businesses, which is what we're going to talk about later. So we're going to kind of talk about the importance of teamwork and just the business, professional world as far as entrepreneurship. So we're kind of going back to our roots here. Let me explain a little bit about the importance of teamwork and context, if you will. So teamwork, when you think about teamwork in the business world, right, you think about increased efficiency, communication. How important is communication, right, in personal and professional? Enhanced problem solving, right, and support, just that mutual support. The list goes on, but just a gist of it, that's honestly what teamwork is all about. So we're going to kind of dive into that. And what do you have to say, Miss Rivera?
Ms. Rivera. That's Ms.
Ms. Rivera.
Wink, wink. No, just sharing a little bit of the foundation of teamwork. You know, I always like to give a definition or some type of history. So what it means is it's the effective, efficient, and combined action of a group of people with the same goal, which, as we talked about earlier, collaboration, right?
Right.
So if you have that sort of intention, that's what people bring to the table, right? But you've got to establish that. So,
Right.
you know, like you mentioned, the synergy and collaboration, you know, and there's like a shared responsibility and all that too, and
Absolutely.
accountability. Teamwork, I feel, really improves, like when there's issues, you kind of just, you know, all heads together.
Right.
Let's see what we can do.
Right.
You know,
One sound, one mind, one goal.
Yeah,
All
yeah.
working towards the goal.
Yeah, and you know, we're from the corporate world,
Right.
So, and Jay, you're an entrepreneur. You're building your business here, so we all have a little bit of that insight,
Yes.
right? So that's the good thing about what you know we want to talk about today. So,
Absolutely.
you know, like, I mean, think about it. In your corporate world, how do you guys build a strong?
Oh my goodness. I honestly feel like our CEO and founder of the company I work for is honestly the best to ever do it.
Yeah.
I always give my kudos to him, because he really, really believes in teamwork, and he spent a lot of his time making sure that we were on board with that, number one, and that we had the tools, the education, as far as if we didn't come in, not as far as like with degrees, but he would provide that education for us. Because a lot of people don't know how to work in a team. And so we're all passionate. We're all humans and we're built with emotions. So we all want to have a say in how things go. And so he kind of just dials in on really what's important. I mean, we've got books that he gives out to us each quarter that we are responsible to read and just kind of give like a book report type, present on, so yeah, he's in the company I work for, and it's so funny because it's a sales team too. We're so tight knit and close together, but I feel like each of us have that. We have the strong set of skills that we bring to the table. Yeah, the value. We're all taught the same thing, and then we bring our own value to the team. So. I think it's great, and we have so many tools that we can refer back to when it comes to, if we need help on communication or if we need help on...
That's a big one.
Yes.
Yeah, that's a big
communication one. Is, oh my goodness, because, especially when there's a problem, we right away want to handle it with our emotion.
Right.
And we have to learn how to remove the emotion and stick to facts and... solutions. Exactly. Being solutions minded when it comes to that. So those are all things that when you go into a company, you're really not taught that unless you know. If you know, but if not, those are all things that we really have to keep at the forefront when we are in our work setting. And it helps personally too. If you think about it, in our personal lives, we're such emotional human beings. But if we're not solutions minded, if we're not looking at what's the solution to this problem first and foremost. So those are just a few things that stick out to me with the business, the company that I'm with and the team that I'm on.
Yeah. I had a boss one time when we would bring him problems, he would say, what do you need to meet with me about? Well, there's a problem. Do you have a solution for it?
Right. First and foremost.
Figure it out, then come talk to me.
Absolutely.
And that's challenging, but, don't come to me with your problems unless you can see a window of solution there.
Absolutely.
But one of the things that, there's a lot of challenges, like you talked about, ego and attitudes. And sometimes, one of the things that I enjoyed about the diversity of a team, because there's challenges, sometimes, people don't think the same way. Like you were saying a little while ago, people kind of have like this, well, I don't think that's going to be
right.
Everybody wants to offer everybody wants to offer something at the table. And sometimes that could be beneficial because a lot of times, like I know when me and Jay talk about business and things like that, he opens my perspective in a sense because I don't think the way he does, right? But I could literally say to him, oh, you know what? I didn't see it like that, but yeah, you're right. And I think when you have team members that are willing to be open and even with the challenges, maybe look beyond those a little tiny bit and say, even though, we got to, I see where we need to build her or him a little bit more in being open to suggestions or being okay with us not using your idea because a lot of times those can be challenging and you definitely want to make sure your team members feel valued, listened to, heard, and say to them, that's a really wonderful idea, but in this project, I don't think that would benefit us, and here's why.
Right.
And just have that collaboration conversation with them.
Right. There's so many things about teamwork. I mean, you think of the leadership too. What type of leadership? I mean, that's a whole nother subject. But
because not all leadership wants to hear about what the team has to say.
Right. Yeah. So there's differences in leadership, and that is really what will have your team functioning at a high capacity is the leadership. So it all goes together, but to stick to, just the team in itself and how you can be a good team player as well. Yeah. Building a strong team is so important. And we're going to identify some key steps to create a strong team. Clearly define roles and responsibilities, right? Foster effective communication and active listening. Yeah. Establish a positive team culture and values. We hear that word a lot in today's society, culture, right? I love it though. I love that we introduce that into the professional business world, culture. because it's important. I couldn't see myself working in a place that doesn't have the culture we currently have at our current job. There's a fear of lack. Our leadership team has created a culture of open door policy.
Right.
So, the doors at the very, very top from the CEO on down is always open.
Yeah.
The doors are always open for you to come in.
I love open door policy.
I do too. Yeah. And you coming from HR background, you know how important that is.
Yes.
Having that open door policy. Encourage trust and respect among team members. Promote open and constructive feedback. And develop a shared vision and common goals. Are all key components to creating a strong team. Yeah. Can you tell me a time, Nina, in a place you worked where maybe those things were not there and how damaging it was to the company?
Yeah, so I recall years ago I was doing a consulting job. I'm not a consulting job, contract job in the Bay Area. Mm-hmm. And I was a part of the new payroll system that they were not developing, but incorporating. Mm-hmm. We were shifting from one payroll to the next payroll. And with my knowledge of this particular payroll system, we were all gathered in a room. We were looking, and mind you, it was the HR team. Mm-hmm. And I looked at the numbers, and it just looked a little off. Mm-hmm. And I interjected, and I said, hey, there's something wrong. There should be a bigger amount under this pay scale versus everything over here. Mm-hmm. And people looked, and there were, higher up people in the room, but nobody acknowledged it. And then come to find out when the payroll went out, people were paid differential percentages, like everybody's payroll was in the company. And I remember the gal who was over that department at the time, she said, I'm so sorry that we didn't look at that deeper when you mentioned it. So had there been a collaboration, and I don't know what the reason was, I can't even tell you if it was based on ego or because it was a low-level HR role and I was, coming in on I don't know what it was. Or I don't know if, a number of people think differently or see differently. Right. But I just remember it just didn't look like. And I think about that in a sense to, you want to listen to those team members that maybe you just want to, take that knowledge and, let's look at it. Right. Because that would have saved the company in that moment so much money. Wow. I mean, I'm talking about like a person who was being paid maybe $1,000 a week got $8,000. Oh, yeah, it was a big error.
When you talk about the financial part of that,
and then you try
to backtrack that,
and then you've got people that are on hourly wages, and they're like, well, that was your mistake. Legally, we don't have to give it back. Oh. And a lot of conversations had to be had in HR about that. We literally had to, handle that in a way, but it took a lot of time to work that out. So listen to your team members, even if you don't think that they're, giving you what you need. Just listen because there could be definitely something there.
Absolutely.
How often do they, from your experience, were they listening to everybody? Because I know you work for bigger companies, so I'm just John on the line wrapping up a piece of paper or something, but he's like, hey, there's a more effective way to do it. Was it even considered, or how did it?
Jay, it's been my experience that there are people, executives and leadership in high position roles that really honor and value conversations and teamwork. But there are also people, and I'm sure you both know this, that have very high egos, and sometimes it's hard to collaborate with those type of people. I find it more valuable if your leadership really supports you, because they will say, this is our mission, this is our values, this is our we're all about employee and da 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 da. But when you're in the trenches with them, it's not true. Right. It's absolutely not true. So as I developed in my career, that was always one of the things I would bring to the table in an interview. I collaborate well with teams. I can find value in teams. And even culturally, there's cultural sensitivity now. I lived in the Bay Area for a long time, a lot of diversity, but I think you even want diversity in your company too, because
Absolutely.
like how I was saying earlier about how you and I chatted up, I think people that are diverse, they bring a new conversation to the table sometimes. So you want people on your team that are going to challenge you. You definitely want that. But
And, when we talk about building a strong team, obviously, if you're building the team, you're in some sort of leadership role.
Right.
And so having the trust and respect of your team,
Yes.
if you can develop that trust, I just know there's some leaders on my team where I'm like, I trust that leader has my best interest, like I trust that my directors want the best for me personally and professionally, not just what I can bring to their company, but if I share a personal goal that I have with for personally in my life to a director, I want to trust that they're going to put me in the right places to meet those personal goals.
Yeah.
And and that's huge to have a leadership team. We have that. I have that at my job. I'm very blessed to have that, because there was a time where during our one-on-one meetings that we would have with our direct supervisors every week, we would have to go over our personal goals with them. Like, what do you want to do personally? And how can I help you get there?
right.
And that's the type of team I want to be on.
Oh, heck
you know what
yeah.
I mean? That's the
heck
type
yeah.
of, if you can establish that trust, and as a leader, trust and respect amongst your team, then that's huge. Then that team will go to the ends of the earth for you.
Oh yeah.
That they will
bend over backwards.
bend over backwards. They will build your company. They will represent your company in a way where it's like, you can't do it because you are you're the top, and but really, I mean, you talk about it, a servant leader, they put themselves at the table with their team. They're the ones that are doing that work and serving their team. They are giving their all, and that's how you really build a strong team. As a leader, you are serving them. What do you need from me to be able to do your job?
Right.
Not you do what I tell you to do.
Yeah. I had a wonderful director that would be one of his questions anytime. What can I do for you?
Yes.
And he had that open door policy too. And he would literally say, okay, here's the problem. Here, everyone's got a solution, but what are we going to, and he would literally, you talk about collaboration. And then he taught us about guardianship and how to guard each other on the team and take care of each other and support and check in with each other and, say, hey, do you have the bandwidth to take this project on?
Right.
If not, I've got a little time. And,
Yep.
and that's how I think that's really how you build a good team.
Yes. Yeah. And, on that subject really quick before we move on, it's when you're thinking about being in a team and, especially in an assembly line type of team, it's, the concept you should have in your department, because I see a lot of, what my husband deals with, what Donald deals with on his job is like, it doesn't matter because that's not my department. And that type of attitude will set the company back, will cost the company money. And, and we were taught, you don't take a mistake, you don't make a mistake, you don't take a mistake, you don't pass a mistake. If there is a mistake that you see or a red flag that you see with an order or whatever it is that you do, you don't just take it, make it yours. You wait, there's something wrong with that. Let's fix it first before I accept it and before I pass it on. Yeah. But a lot of people are like, just give it to me, just whatever. We'll just keep going. We just have to keep going. We just have to keep going.
And they just point out who did it.
And
well,
they just
I didn't do that.
Yeah,
he did that,
exactly.
Right? Right.
So it costs
I told
time.
them not to do that.
Right. It costs time. It costs
the blame
money.
game.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so those are just key things that when you're in a team, even if your leaders haven't thought about that, I think being in a team setting is, identifying, even though you didn't make the mistake, you can still call it out and how do we fix this before we pass it on,
right. Right.
Just little things like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
for sure. But I just want to kind of share a little bit. That's that same leader that I had that had that open door policy and things. When he would take responsibility if the team screwed up, like you're talking, but he wouldn't pinpoint who the person was.
Right.
We'd all be in the same room
Right.
on the conference call with the higher executive, and he would say, "Unfortunately, my team." Yeah, and then he'd explain, you know. And I love that about him.
Yeah.
And he's the same man that taught me about like guardianship.
Right.
And that's how you hold guardianship.
Human error is always going to happen. As long as people are in front of the job, human error is going to happen. So it's not who did it. It's, you know, what's the problem so we can tackle it together.
Let's
you know,
move forward.
Let's move
Deal
forward.
it. Move forward.
Talk a little bit about overcoming challenges in teamwork.
Yeah, well, like I talked about earlier, you know, the different dealing with the egos and things like that, you know, and just, you know, things to look at is conflict and resolution in a sense. You want to make sure that you are able to have that, like you were talking about earlier, that trust. But you also want to make sure that you have a little vulnerability too, you know, because I know sometimes, especially in the corporate world, professional people can get together and there's a lot of ego in that room, right? But if you can honestly say that, hey, I understand that you're upset about this particular project not going the way and maybe you hold fault in this individual over here. However, let's see how we can look at ways to resolve that because we all are a part of a team.
Right.
And then, you know, in all candor, there's some people that no matter how much you pour into them and ask them to be beneficial to the team, they just don't have it in them to work well with others.
Right.
There's literally, and then you have to look at ways to
They'll be on the wrong team then.
right,
They're on
and then
the
you
wrong
have to
team.
look at ways to really honest, like especially for management or directors, you have to say, well, you know what, he's not bringing any value to the team. Let's look for something that he does well, so we can kind of maybe shift him off the team. And you know, I know we talk a lot about like-minded individuals and things like that, but then I think back to that company that I worked with. One of the things that they prided themselves is the diversity of people that were able to bring their own different knowledge to the table.
Right.
You know what I mean? So.
And even like-minded could be, well, I know that I'm on this team and we share vision and same goals.
Yeah.
As long as I think that that's number one, you know, the vision and the goal.
And then you always want to look for ways to like maintain enthusiasm, maintain like just the joy in it, the good work, you know. You want to celebrate the wins. You want to look at the losses and reevaluate as a team and just build from there.
And know your team because everybody's so different.
Yeah.
Working in a team, everyone is there's some that need that applause after everything they do. There's someone that needs that, you know, feedback. And then there's those that just ride like, hey, I know I'm doing a good job.
Yeah.
And if I don't need the praise, just pay me.
Yeah.
That's my praise.
But that's okay. I mean,
it's okay.
If
Exactly.
You have
know
that,
your team.
Yeah, you know, because I want Jay to give me a shout out once in a while.
Yeah, boss man. But, you know, just a couple tips and strategies for fostering teamwork. Provide practical tips and strategies for nurturing teamwork in a business. Encouraging team building activities and exercises. This is huge, y'all.
Yeah.
Like in a company, I look forward to team building events. I mean, who doesn't? I love to build. It's important, you know. We all work hard. We're all you know, trying to bust our butts for the company, and so just having that team building every quarter or twice a year, however it works for the company, it's important. It just shows the appreciation and celebrate individual and team achievements, like we mentioned earlier. That is a must, whether it's individual or not. In a team setting, celebrating the achievements of the team, that's huge. And then, I can't stress this enough. I actually, y'all, was on a podcast to talk about work-life balance a couple weeks ago on the Mogul podcast here in the Valley, or actually they're in Vegas. But promote a healthy work-life balance. I cannot stress that enough.
Yes.
And our CEO, he is all about work-life balance. I tell you what, encourage your team to take their PTO. When they come back, they're going to want to take some more PTO. So guess what? They're going to put that work in and do everything to try and get that vacation or whatever it is they need, staycation. But work-life balance is monumental.
It is. And you definitely want to invest in professional development and training opportunities. When I lived in the Bay, I had someone who said, you know what, I see something in you. We're going to pay for you to do X, Y, and Z.
Oh, yeah.
And they really invested in me. And all my training development, I just strive in that, you know? Yeah. And you also want to like regularly assess and reassess your team dynamics and effectiveness like we talked about earlier.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I think it's important how you said invest in what you said, professional development.
Yes.
You know, even if you're working at a company that doesn't do that, you should do that
On
for
yourself.
yourself.
Absolutely.
Because
that's your education.
Yeah. Because that's something that you guys do. I see you guys are always learning the next thing. And like Auntie, I remember you was like, okay, I'm at this time and this time, I'm, you know, I got this going on or whatever, and you was learning, you know, new things or whatnot. So that's very big too.
Yeah.
Because you could take that to the next level.
Oh, yeah.
No one can take that from you.
Any certification that I get or anything like that, that's on my resume.
There you go.
You know, and if I ever do interviews or something like that, I'm going to tell you about that. You know, knowledge is power, right?
Is.
So
absolutely. Like we said, the importance of teamwork, it's huge across the board. I mean, you can't stress it enough in the company. If you're an entrepreneur, I think that's where you'll want to at least spend a lot of your time in once you decide to expand in your business is making sure that your team will be able to carry your business to the next level and do their part. So really just maximizing that time and effort and building a strong, successful team so your company thrives from that.
Yeah, I think that's very big. A lot of times nowadays, everything is and wanting to do it for yourself because a lot of things are easier to do.
Yeah.
You know, so we lose perspective of that.
Right.
You know, of teams.
Yeah.
And me, I look at it the opposite way. I see super value in it.
Yeah.
Like, wow, like look, because any successful company, they all had teams.
Yeah.
Exactly.
There's nobody I can't name one entrepreneur who was one person. He didn't work with nobody.
Right.
And he's, you know, his business is well known. Like it's not there. And we get confused from YouTube that, they're selling you from YouTube too.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It isn't, that isn't their business. If a person is a millionaire making a lot of money, not thousands, I'm talking about millionaire.
Right.
Why would he be like, you know what? I want to waste hours and make a YouTube channel now. And it doesn't make logical sense.
No.
But when you're on the come up and like, okay, cool, I make this amount, and then YouTube is there to help you to make another means of income, of course. You see what I'm saying? But it isn't. You're never going to find a multimillionaire that just wants to go out of his way to, I'm going to make YouTube videos,
right.
and, you know.
Yeah.
And so we get confused, man. A lot of people get confused. And I think that's, you know, it's sad because there's a lot that can be done now if people put the pride away on a sense of that and start collaborating, start realizing like it's better, strengthen numbers versus I'm out here by myself because whether you know it or not, you're being sold that you can do it yourself.
Yeah.
You know,
Exactly.
iPhone is iPhone.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So like, hey, you can do your own video now. You can do this. But you're being sold that.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So that's what a lot of people need to realize. All the entrepreneurs and everything out there understand that there's power in teams.
There is.
And these women right here worked in this industry for a long time, and you guys made it to a position that a lot of people don't see. You know what I'm saying? So I think it's very valuable, the things that I'm sitting here learning right now. I'm sitting here taking notes every single time. I'm like,
I was wondering, I'm like, is he texting? You're taking notes.
I'm taking notes because I got questions afterwards, you know, so I'm always learning, you know.
You definitely want to glean off, you know, people with knowledge, you
Yeah.
know, for sure. But going back to what you said about, you know, how if you want to build a business and you're in that spirit of entrepreneurship and how collaboration is so important because, you know, there's so many gifted and talented people around you.
Yes.
And don't let your ego and pride stop you from reaching out to people that maybe hold a little bit more wisdom than
Right.
you do. And I think sometimes, and I'll just say it this way, you know, the younger folks, because I know you guys are younger folks, but I'm not definitely talking about these two. But there are younger folks out there in the world, younger than me, that sometimes when you say to them, hey, why don't you hit up so-and-so and they can help you with X, Y, and Z. They're like, no, I got it.
Yeah.
Right.
And then a year or two later, you look back at them and they haven't evolved.
Well, they
Right,
stunt their
right.
own growth.
They stunt their own
Right.
growth
Yeah.
just because they don't want to collaborate and get knowledge and be part of something.
Right.
You know, to gain that
It's
knowledge.
going back to believing the lie.
Yeah.
Because the lie is when you watch a YouTube video, and that's like
Yeah.
the number one thing
Do
being
it
consumed.
yourself.
Yeah.
They make it seem so easy, but
It's
they don't
not.
realize the other side of it is that they have teams. They're in
Yeah.
Hollywood, they have teams that's
Right.
specifically what they do. They find a nice,
Yeah.
pretty person or whatever to
Yep.
put them behind the camera, and
Right.
they do all the hard
Oh,
work.
yeah.
But
Right.
you're being sold that it's only them.
Yeah.
And that's what we don't realize. So you got to smarten up and don't think that you can do everything yourself.
Right.
If there's like-minded people, collab, sit at a table, do all the hard work of
Right.
how are we going to make this work? What? No, not you got your company, I got my company, he got his then nothing's going to get done.
Right.
You got to sit
Work
there and
together.
you work together
Yeah.
like for one cause. That's
Yep.
you'll
For
get there
sure.
faster.
For sure.
You
For
know?
sure.
The people who get awards on like the Oscars and any other award show out there, what's the first thing they do after they thank God? I want to thank my team.
Yep.
Yeah.
I want to
that's
thank
true.
God and I want to thank my team.
That is so
Right.
Those
true.
two things right,
Right.
there are
That
the
is so
highlights
true.
of their thankful speech.
Yeah.
Right.
Because they know they will not be where they're at without their, of course,
Without
their
their
fans
team.
too, but their team is what makes it happen.
Exactly.
And that hairdresser team that's making over 6 figures,
Yeah.
they're perfectly fine.
They're
They're happy.
perfectly
Like, yeah,
fine.
he's good.
Yep,
You know,
yeah.
because
He's good. Yeah.
everybody, like, so we'll look at that like, oh, well, he's just this and that person. No, that person's perfectly fine because they understand what they're doing, what they're
Yep.
building up, and how they're
Right.
getting paid.
Yep.
Right.
You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
Yep.
For sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So we've got some great resources. This book right here, The 5 Dysfunctions of a Team, it really breaks down each person and how they are on the team and their strengths and their weaknesses and how you can bring all that together and for the success of the company. And
Right.
so this is a really good book. It's also you'll find some leadership stuff on here. Will It Make the Boat Go Faster is another great one that I encourage you guys to read. This actually helped me a lot personally as well as professionally because whenever you're dealing with people, you deal with people in your family and you deal with people on the job.
Yeah.
This book right here is great.
That's
It was
that's
really
good
great.
for both, right?
Yes, good
Nice.
for both. And then Change Your Questions, Change Your Life. This book has been ran through a few times, y'all. I mean,
That must be a good book.
oh,
right
it
there.
was a
Dang.
really good book because you think about it, everything can change in our life by just changing the questions, how we
Oh,
ask
yeah.
questions.
Oh,
Yeah, yeah,
You
yeah.
change your questions, you will change your life.
That's
Yeah.
good.
Yes.
That's good.
So this one right here is really a really good one. It's out of order, but I still kept it because I'm like, this is definitely one I go back to. So those are really 3 really good books that I would
Nice.
keep handy whenever I need a refresher.
I'm gonna have to borrow this one right here. And I don't,
Yeah.
I don't
Do you
read
give
as I
books
don't
back?
read. Yeah, I give them back, but I don't read as fast as Auntie. She's
Yeah.
talking about in a week.
Well, then get an Audible. No.
Yeah.
It's free on the Audible.
I love reading. I love self-help books. I love,
Yes.
anything that's going to train and
Yeah.
develop my mind.
And
yeah.
just listen to it on the Audible. If y'all are not
Yeah.
readers, I mean, that's where I start every time. But when it's a good one, I'm like, oh no, I
Yeah,
got
the
the
book,
highlight.
yeah,
I
I'm
got
the
I
same
got
way.
the highlight.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
but y'all, again, happy Monday. Thank you for rocking with What's the Biz this
Yeah,
morning.
for
In
sure, for
closing, teamwork is essential for
It is.
organizations to achieve their goals effectively by leveraging the diverse strengths, skills, and perspectives of team members. Organizations can promote innovation, increase efficiency, foster a positive work environment, and overcome challenges more effectively. So I'm just telling y'all right now, get yourself on a really good team, give
Yeah.
your all, devote your time, strength, skills, and make it work for the company you're with, or even if you're in the entrepreneurship world.
For sure. Yep.
Y'all have a great and empowered week. I hope you guys feel empowered. Be blessed.
Peace.
Peace.